what I would like to do now, so that I get everybody home, we promised to get everybody home by 11:30 tonight. Actually, we didn't, but I do want to start the official. We have our first special announcement is the Doug Dennis Outstanding Public Service Award for Public Service Excellence. The Doug Dennis Award for Public Service Excellence recognizes an individual or team who works for the provincial government of Prince Edward Island and has demonstrated outstanding contribution to the city or to the citizens and government of PEI. The award is named for a gentleman by the name of Doug Dennis, who was an island civil servant from 1959 to 1986. He served under 5 premiers in a period of great change. The endowment fund to create the annual award was established in 2020 by Doug's son, Alec, and his grandson, by his son, Alan, and his grandson, Alex, shown on the screen. The winner was selected based on 4 criteria. Number 1, demonstrating the public service values of respect, integrity, excellence, and accountability, helping to lift the people around them, working to make the organization a better place, and improving the lives of islanders. I would now like to call on Honorable Mark McLean, Minister of Health and Wellness, to present this year's award.
Thank you, Ken. I won't try to replicate the thank yous to the politicians and former politicians that are in the room this evening, but I do want to recognize a few people that's involved in my day-to-day work. So first of all, Diane Griffin, the chair, our board chair from Health PEI is here tonight. Melanie Fraser and her husband Steve, our new CEO that joined our team. And I also want to recognize people that I work with every day that are here this evening as well. Lisa Thibault, my deputy minister. I have 2 assistant deputy ministers, and Lorraine Klasinski and Kelly Rayner, and our CFO Karen Stanley is here. So these people do the heavy lifting every day in our department, and I think over the last 10 months or so we've made some progress. It's difficult, but we are pushing the needle forward, and those people that I mentioned here tonight are a big part of some of the successes we've had. So I have many connections to this award tonight, so I am pleased to announce the 2024 recipient of the Doug Dennis Award for Public Service Excellence is Kim Knox, who is the Director of Digital Health for the Department of Health and Wellness. So Kim has led the implementation of the electronic health record system in 95 primary care and community-based clinics, creating access for over 200 healthcare providers and 1,200 users across PEI. This project has helped improve patient documentation in care settings, increase access to practice resources for healthcare providers and support staff, and support ongoing quality improvement through data collection, reporting, and other processes. Throughout the entire project, Kim's commitment and dedication to collaboration, change management, and quality improvement was second to none. Kim is a champion for innovation, team-based approaches to identifying solutions, quality improvement, education, clinical practical tools, and accountability. Kim's extraordinary leadership through projects demonstrates respect, integrity, and excellence, and without her, many projects would not have been possible. Earlier this summer, we announced our digital health strategy. This work was led by Kim and her team, and it truly showcases her dedication to improving the healthcare system in PEI now and into the future. So throughout all the phases of this and any project, Kim always puts Islanders first and encourages the entire public service to challenge ourselves to improve the services currently available. And as you can tell, she aligns very well with all the merits of the Doug Dennis Award. She's the first to welcome the opportunity to connect and work with partners, brainstorm new ideas, thoughtfully consider situations, and consider short, medium, and long-term impacts and sustainability. Kim's approach regularly considers what we do today, what we can do tomorrow, and what we need to do to plan for the future of healthcare on PEI. She represents PEI in various provincial, territorial, federal committees and groups, and is recognized as a true thought leader and partner across the province and the country. Kim truly listens to others and is open to ideas and suggestions, creating an environment that fosters collaboration, teamwork, professionalism, and creativity. Kim acts with integrity, respect, and accountability that emulates the foundation of public service. So another reason that I'm on the stage tonight, in addition to this award, this endowment fund has been established to make a $1,000 contribution annually to the charity of choice of the recipient. So Kim has selected the Oscar Waugh Friends Foundation for this donation. Trevor, Catherine, and Harry are here tonight, and it's in memory of Oscar, who was a classmate of my youngest daughter. So the Oscar Waugh Friends Foundation Fund was established at the Community Foundation to honor the life of Oscar Waugh, who passed away in July of 2023 after a courageous battle with cancer. So we will hear much more about Oscar's fund a little later tonight. And Harry is wearing a Toronto Maple Leafs sweater tonight, so you can buy those tickets and just give them to Harry. I'm sure he'd take them. So as you can see, I have many connections to this award, so I'm very proud to call Kim to the stage to join me to receive this year's award. Thank you very much.
We heard briefly about the Oscar Waugh Friends Foundation Fund a few minutes ago with Kim Knox's donation of $1,000 from the Doug Dennis Award. The Oscar Waugh Friends Foundation Fund was established at the Community Foundation of PEI as a legacy to honor the life of Oscar Waugh, who passed away on July 29, 2023, at the age of 15 after a courageous battle with cancer. Oscar's journey with living with cancer lasted the last 18 months of his life. He was diagnosed when he was just 13 years old. No one ever heard him complain of his plight. His resilience, courage, optimism, grace, and determination were nothing short of remarkable. He was, just like his East Wiltshire school basketball team, a warrior. The fund itself was established as a legacy for Oscar to support causes that were important to him, all relating to childhood cancer, specifically to those children diagnosed on PEI. In short, his focus for the fund was to support other children like himself having to live with cancer. I would now like to show a brief video from Oscar's uncle, Andy Nero, who was the driving force behind establishing the fund, and one of the main reasons that the fund is now valued at almost $130,000.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Andy Nero, and my wife is Lana. Unfortunately, we were unable to attend tonight, but I just wanted to say a few words about our nephew's fund, the Oscar Waugh Friends Foundation Fund. Lana and I are the very proud aunt and uncle of an incredible young man, Oscar Waugh, who sadly passed away just over a year ago. Oscar Waugh, at the young age of 15, was a straight A student, an elite athlete. He was kind, respectful, humble, and a caring teenager. He was mature beyond his years. His fight against this disease, cancer, was a strong and hard one, where he endured many painful treatments and medical applications. Throughout that entire time, Oscar's character stood out like no other. He never ever complained, not about the long drives to Halifax, the constant needles and probing he had to endure, and not even about the excruciating pain he was in. Oscar Waugh has an amazing family. His parents, Trevor and Catherine, fought hand in hand alongside Oscar and never gave up for a moment. His siblings, Grace and Harry, stood by his side the whole time. It is no wonder Oscar Waugh was the young man he was. The Oscar Waugh Friends Foundation. When Lana and I learned that Oscar's cancer became terminal, we approached Trevor and Catherine, and with their help and guidance, Oscar was asked if we could set up a charity fund in his name that would be used to support causes that Oscar himself cared about the most. Oscar told Trevor and Catherine that he would love to help other kids with cancer and their families. He wanted to make sure there was some support for other families and their children who had to endure exactly what they had just gone through. Oscar helped in all the decision for the Oscar Waugh Friends Foundation Fund. The name, the logo, and most importantly, the direction of the distribution. To set up and operate a charity foundation, there is a great amount of cost and work involved. Fortunately for us, we discovered the Community Fund of PEI and Kent Hudson. Kent and his great team have taken the reins and are managing, investing, administrating all aspects of the Oscar Waugh Friends Foundation Fund. There are no words for this amazing group of people at CFPEI. Oscar Waugh touched so many through his sports involvement and his academic achievements. With all the amazing hard work that Trevor, Catherine, Grace, and Harry have done, the Oscar Waugh Friends Foundation Fund has grown substantially in a very short time. They have worked closely with many friends and family, setting up and participating in fundraising events all over several provinces. The Oscar Waugh Friends Foundation Fund is ready to set its footprint in stone. Kent and his team at CFPEI will be making distributions after just one short year. Oscar's wishes have come true. Oscar Waugh is alive. His legacy will live forever through the Oscar Waugh Friends Foundation Fund. Before I go, I can't stop without first recognizing and extending our greatest gratitude to all the doctors, nurses, caregivers, and counselors that gave kindness like no other and support that was so needed. We will forever appreciate what you all have done for Oscar and our family. Thank you and have a great evening. We love you, Oscar.
An inspiration to all who knew him, Oscar was an amazing, loving brother, a fierce friend, a joy of a son, and a kind-hearted, thoughtful, beautiful soul. I would now like to call on Oscar's parents, Trevor and Catherine, along with Oscar's brother Harry, to come forward to make a special presentation. I'll also mention that Oscar's sister Grace is unable to join us as she is attending first-year university at St. FX. I'll also invite Holly Painter and Sharon Ruckley to join us on stage as well. Holly is a pediatrics chemotherapy nurse who took care of Oscar, and Sharon was Oscar's home care nurse. On behalf of the Oscar Waugh Friends Foundation Fund at the Foundation, Trevor, Catherine, and Harry are presenting a check for $10,000 to Holly and Sharon right now. I'm just going to say a couple things. Just to tell you a little bit about what is going to happen, those funds are going to be sent to the QEH Foundation, and part of those funds are going to be used for, Oscar wanted to donate a Buzzy Bee to every child with cancer who needed to be given medications at home to help deal with the sting of the needles and medication. In addition, the fund will also provide travel support for families who have to travel to the IWK for their child's cancer treatment. The endowment fund, and that's part of, I got a great job. It's not always great, but the legacy that will live on for that young man is pretty powerful. So thank you all. It is now my sincere pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker this evening. Don McDougall grew up in Prince Edward Island as the eldest of 6 siblings. His early years in PEI were like many who grew up in rural Canada. He graduated from university in 1958, and after teaching high school for 1 year, he went to Ivey Business School at the University of Western Ontario, where he graduated with an MBA in 1961. Don married his former classmate, Marion MacDonald, in 1961, and they now have 5 children and 11 grandchildren. Don's early career was with the Labatt Brewing Company, where he excelled in marketing, rising through the ranks from salesman to president in just 12 years. I don't think I've had a job for 12 years. Not one where they keep me. His career at Labatt ended in 1979, and since that time, Don has been a serial entrepreneur as an owner-manager in the aerospace, real estate, and hospitality industries. These business endeavors have been international in scope, but have had their roots in Southern Ontario and Prince Edward Island. Don and Marion lived in London, Ontario for 36 years and in Stratford, Ontario for 14 years. They now divide their time between PEI and Florida. Don has been an active community leader. He has served as chair of the board at the University of Western Ontario, chancellor at UPEI, and as a member of Hockey Canada and president of St. Joseph's Healthcare Society in London. Don has received several honors, with the most notable being inducted into London, Ontario and PEI Business Hall of Fames, and being honored as the Stratford, Ontario Business Leader Award. Don has received honorary degrees from the University of Western Ontario and the University of Prince Edward Island. Don was named Canadian Baseball Man of the Year in 1976 for helping bring the Toronto Blue Jays franchise to Toronto. Don continues to be active in business as an entrepreneur in hospitality and real estate, most notably for us here in PEI with Mill River Resort and Eagles Glen Golf Course. Don and Marion enjoy their many friends, but experience their greatest satisfaction in following the activities of their 11 grandchildren. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Don McDougall.
After that introduction, Kent, it's probably a good time to stop, not start, but thank you very much. Honorable members from the legislature and the cabinet, Mayor Brown and councillors, and distinguished guests and friends. It's an honor to be asked to address such a distinguished audience of community leaders and donors. Let me begin by congratulating Kim on winning the Doug Dennis Award and the Waugh family for the tremendous initiative in the Oscar Waugh Endowment Fund. It was touching indeed for all of us. These 2 examples are just examples of our community foundation at work, as the more fulsome report, which you have also received today, already explains to you. I'm honored to be invited to say a few words to such a distinguished audience. I tried to learn from Kent, why me? and I have to admit that I was not completely satisfied. After some discussion, I got the impression he needed to get a speaker who was somewhat old. He was particularly interested in Wes and Regis being comfortable here tonight. Well, Kent, I am happy to oblige. I know only too well that with generational differences, communications can get cumbersome. Wires can get crossed. I had a first-hand experience of this just about a month ago on one of those very hot August days. I was going over to Tim Hortons to get a iced cappuccino, and as I went down number 2, I see Dairy Royale. I think, soft ice cream would be better than a coffee today. It was not busy, so I got out of the car, climbed up a very few stairs to the canteen entrance, and there was a beautiful young lady waiting to serve me as she watched me and my 86-year-old body climb up to get soft ice cream. And she says, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yes. I would like one of those sundaes you're famous for here." And she looked away, and then she looked back, and she said, "Cracked nuts?" I said, "Pardon?" She says, "Cracked nuts." I said, No, just a touch of arthritis." Well, she disappeared from behind the window, I'm sure splitting her sides as she fell to the floor, and I stood there somewhat embarrassed, but after a few minutes I did leave with my sundae with the cracked nuts on top. Well, I can only hope that tonight I will avoid crossing wires with you, this audience. For my part, I'm delighted to spend some time with old friends and to get to know many more of you who are or are emerging leaders in this community. As you will gather from the introduction, I have lived a full and interesting life. I characterize it as a life of inexplicable coincidences and many unintended consequences. I should explain that in the McDougall family, a coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. I could take any of the many dimensions of my life and build a 15-minute speech around that. But tonight, with the help of Kent, I have decided to focus on 3 lessons learned in my extensive 60 years in business. On a personal basis, my character formation was based on a healthy respect for the eulogy virtues. Thanks to my parents and the nurturing communities in which we lived, Emerald Junction, Kensington, Tyne Valley, and Bloomfield, and in particular, St. Dunstan's, or now UPEI, where I resided from age 14 to 20 and completed my high school and university there. Eulogy virtues are the ones people talk about at your funeral and are usually contrasted with career virtues. Career virtues describe what you're going to do. Eulogy virtues are about who you're going to be. We were brought up to be unselfish, sensitive to others' well-being, honest, industrious, and have courage of our convictions. These lessons defined who we were going to be, or at least who our parents wanted us to be. On a professional basis, I will highlight the life lessons that have been most important in my career in business. And life lesson number one will be familiar to everybody in this audience. Life lesson number one is there is no I in team. As Marc Messier wrote in his interesting and entertaining book, no one wins alone. I learned early and well the importance of this rule. It was true on the hockey teams and baseball teams in Bloomfield, learned again at university on the football field in the debating society, and where it was reinforced again when I joined Labatt, where one's team supporting virtues were constantly being reaffirmed. And I had this lesson brought home to me in spades, again, when I'm trying to get entrepreneurial businesses to thrive. It's a humbling reality for all of us, but rest assured, no one wins alone. Life lesson number two, for me, is that mentors are important. First, a mentor is a person who tells you what you should hear, not what you want to hear. It is therefore important to choose your mentors carefully. I have two life-defining examples of mentors at work. First, it was my senior year at UPEI, SDU UPEI. Father Vince Murnion, Dean of the Commerce Faculty, professor, personal friend, and a mentor, confronted me halfway through my concluding term in my senior year. He said, "What are your plans after graduation, Don?" I said, as you probably know, I had accepted a teaching position in Summerside and will begin there in September. Oh, he said, "I knew that. But after you teach high school for a year, what are you going to do then?" I, rather casually, with apologies to the lawyers in the room, I should say, I say rather casually that I would probably go on to law school. Father Murnion, his immediate reaction was, "Don, if there's one thing this world doesn't need, it's another lawyer." "So," says I, somewhat sarcastically, "what do you think I should do?" He says, matter-of-factly, you should go to graduate school. Specifically, you should go to the Ivy Business School. Joe Revel, Jack Weir, Alton Craig, all from SDU, went there, and it was an excellent experience for them. Well, senior year, I ignored his advice for several months. But in midwinter in Summerside, wrestling with a large and unruly grade 9 class, Elizabeth Noonan, I'm not including you in that. I decided that maybe that advice that Father Murnion gave me about a year ago was pretty good. So I decided to take it. And as they say, the rest is history. My second example of mentoring at its best, it's 1963. Marion and I are living in Vancouver. We have one child, and I had recently completed my apprenticeship to begin the climb up the corporate ladder at Labatt. I was, like most MBA graduates, restless as seemingly good opportunities passed me by. I was aware, though, that there was a job coming up that I thought was perfect for me. Well, I was hopeful, and Marion was praying. Sure enough, my general manager, Frank LeWarn, with whom I enjoyed an excellent relationship, called me to his office to announce to me that he had been asked by head office to offer me the job as marketing manager for Alberta. Needless to say, I was ecstatic. A few hours later, he and I are in the lounge having a beer before calling a day. All breweries have lounges. And all people that work there have a beer before they hit the road. I said, seeking and expecting affirmation, "What do you think of the offer I received from head office, Frank?" He said, "Don, you should turn it down." I was shocked. Why? He went on to give me several reasons that he, with 20 years' experience at Labatt, would know and I did not. He was quite convincing, and I had respect for his judgment. But we concluded the discussion by him saying to me, "Don, in the end, it is your decision to make. Let me know I suggest you think about it tonight, discuss it with Marion, and let me know your decision in the morning." I had a restless night. I guess I should say we had a restless night. In the morning, I say to Mr. LeWarn, "I'm a little concerned about this, but I don't want to get a reputation at head office that I have what we called then the British Columbia disease." Chris, you'll relate to this. British Columbia disease are the people that come from the east out there, fall in love with the sunshine and the skiing, and never want to come back east. And you get that reputation, and the head office people don't like it, and you're moored in whatever job you're in for the rest of your life. I didn't want to get that reputation, and I say to Mr. LeWarn, "I would be happy if you can persuade the people at head office that I'm so important to you right now here that you can't let me go. And I would be delighted to take your advice then and turn down this job, which only 24 hours earlier I thought was made in heaven." His immediate reply was, "No problem, Don, I can do that for you." And he did. Well, 1 year later, he came to me again and offered me, head office had offered me an opportunity to be sales manager for Labatt's in Toronto. After offering me the job that the head office people had asked him to offer me, Frank turned and said, "In case you want my opinion, I'll tell you now that you should take this job. The road to the top in this organization is through Toronto. And if you do a good job, and I think you will, who knows? You may be president one day." Well, 9 years later, I was president of Labatt Breweries. That, my friends, is mentoring at its very best. Life lesson number 3, the importance of culture in your organization, all organizations. Your organizational culture establishes the values which are important to the owner or the board of directors, or the CEO, whoever is the leadership team for that organization. That's where you learn whether the organization is customer-focused. Are you continually reinforcing the value proposition experienced by those who favor you with their business? Are you a good employer? Do you recruit carefully, train thoroughly, and motivate your fellow employees to meet the corporate goals? Are you transparent on what success is and how it will be recognized and rewarded in your organization? Are you a good corporate citizen? Do you effectively fulfill your responsibilities to the communities in which you operate? Do you continually try to balance the interest of all the corporate stakeholders? I was in a culture-rich community with Labatt. From the founding family on through the years, the culture at Labatt was reinforced. It was therefore a great place to launch my business career. The importance of culture was reinforced again when I was asked to recruit a new president for the Toronto Blue Jays in 1976. I was asked by the board of directors to sort out the candidates and recommend a hire. I didn't admit it to them, but I knew that this was above my pay grade. I did not have the qualifications to make this decision. I knew there was no problem in developing a short list. Every talking head in sport in Toronto had suggestions as to who the president of the Blue Jays should be. It was distilling down the list and making a recommendation that was tough. Well, I did what I usually do in such circumstances. I sought the advice from someone whose opinion I respected. In this case, I approached Lee MacPhail. Lee MacPhail, to the baseball fans in the room, was then the president of the American League. His father had been commissioner of baseball, and the family had deep roots in professional sport across America. I had come to know him through our pursuit of the franchise for Toronto over the past couple of years. I called Mr. MacPhail and he agreed to help. We met. I had my short list. We're going through it, going through the pros and cons of each of the candidates. When I say, I guess it's not that important who the president is. In baseball, the key guy is the manager. He said, pardon? Could you say that again? And I said it again. He immediately reacted with this. Don, you and a lot of people may believe that. Just as many people believe that the most important person in hockey is the coach. You can believe it, but it isn't true. If you study professional sport over the last decades in America, he said, you will realize that there are few, if any, successful franchises with bad front offices. The culture of the organization begins at the top with the president and the CEO. The decision you're trying to make today will essentially determine the success of the Toronto Blue Jays for years to come. I never forgot that bit of wisdom. I could, as you can well imagine, ramble on with many life lessons learned, but that's for another time and another place. Joffrey and his team have heard them all. I would like to conclude these remarks with a few comments about our community foundation. I am pleased to tell you that this is my third association with a community foundation. at work. I was involved in the London Community Foundation, which was started in 1954, and which we became involved in after I moved back there in 1973. I was involved in setting up the Community Foundation in Stratford, Ontario, where we provided the offices, where I think they may still reside. Community foundations, as you have probably already concluded, deserve our support. They give muscle and focus to our community charitable endeavors. It is important to remind ourselves why community foundations exist. They work, as Kent and his team do, with community partners to deliver a range of programs and projects that help make our community strong, resilient, and sustainable. In 2023, there were 207 community foundations across Canada, and they distributed over $112 million to over 2,000 worthy projects. Community foundations drive local solutions for material changes on matters which matter most to our community. Their object is to build a network of people and partners to create a just and sustainable society. Our community foundation, the one which you've learned so much about tonight, some of you knew well before, is a great way to support our community regardless of your age and your wherewithal. It is, I feel, an even better vehicle for those of us in the twilight zone of our careers. Some of us believe it is better to give with a warm hand than a cold hand. Your best transitional vehicle could well be our community foundation. This is not, as some worry, managing your accumulated treasure from the grave. But you can be comfortable if it's with the foundation. It will not be frittered away in family disagreements over what dad and mom would have liked to do with their estate if they were around today. I'm going to leave you with this one point on community foundations, and that is, and this is focused really on the people in my generation. He who gives while he lives knows where it goes. Thank you very much.
Don, thank you so much. Whoops, hard to top that. We are coming to the end of our evening. Not a better way to end it than that. I do have a couple of housekeeping items that I do want to announce before anybody moves, so I catch you. Just bear with me a couple minutes. The auction winners I do want to announce, and we have a kind of a neat little problem, which is great. I'll explain that in a moment. The Delta Charlottetown Film Festival Red Island Hospitality Package, Andrew Robinson, winning bidder. Mill River Friends and Fairway, Steve Bellamy, winning bidder. Crowbush Cove Golf Package, Terry Smith. Holman Grand and Redwater Rustic Grill Package, Susan Robinson. John Ross Boat Cruise, Sean Wheeler. Belvedere Golf Package, Honorable Diane Griffin. And Paul Allen Personalized Painting, Honorable Jill Burridge. We have one other package that was kind of, I said to our team earlier today, I'm like, what happens in the secret bid if there's the exact same bid, the highest bid? And they're like, that's never going to happen. Yeah, no, it did. So I'm glad we thought about it, but we still don't have a real good solution. But 2 bids, same amount. Terry Smith, Andrew Robinson, in at Bay Fortune package. I think probably we could kind of have some sort of a duel, paper, rock, scissors, whatever. But I think if everybody's okay with it, I am going to ask, is Alfred, can you come up and most senior person on our board?
Try this one.
Andrew Robinson. So, just a couple of final notes. Final thank yous more than anything else. Very special thanks to, again, the province of PEI and Provincial Credit Union. Again, we couldn't do this without you. Keynote speaker Don McDougall, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to work with you during this time period, and I can't wait to have more chats with you as we go forward. Entertainment, Adam McGregor, thank you very much. Delta staff for the lovely meal and service. CFPEI Board of Directors, all of you, thank you very much. And I'm not just saying that because they keep me employed. Thank you very much for all that you do for us. Three very important people at the back of the room, Stacy, Tanya, and Emma. Cannot do this without you. Thank you very much, all three of you. And of course, to all of you. Everybody's busy. Everybody is drawn in different ways to spend their hard-earned money, time, and we cannot thank you enough. And it was great to hear Don talk about our organization. We are a really cool organization that just helps people give to charity. That's it. You don't really give to us, you give through us. And we will do everything that we can to honor that for whatever point in time you desire. And I can talk all night. I will not. But I can talk all night about it. It's really cool, and if you do ever have any questions, please do let us know. Final reminder, if you have received the wonderful news that you are the winner of a silent auction or secret auction bid, please do go to the back and take care of that before you leave. Drive safely. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next year.